can't be overstated how important the sense of pain and irritation is to us. Pain is the body's natural way of saying, hey, we have a problem, do something about it. Pain can also help us learn from our mistakes. Through it, we become more aware of the dangers around us. It's literally a case of whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So in short, understanding pain can be instrumental to survival. And survival in itself is a large part of what makes a lot of games kind of fun. In a majority of the games that we play today, death is often a constant factor. Whether it's fighting off hordes of zombies, aliens, or sometimes just straight up Dracula, the characters that we play as are often in the face of constant danger and opposition in order to make our games more exciting and engaging. So naturally, we need to be able to sense when we are in peril. However, in games, we don't and probably shouldn't experience pain. So the question becomes, how do we convey pain without pain? The most common and straightforward solution to this problem came in the form of a simple infographic known as the life bar. Making its debut in Nintendo's 1983 arcade hit Punch-Out!, the life bar has been a staple aspect of game design ever since. While the specifics may vary from game to game, the life bar generally serves as a simple and easy to read representation of the player character's health. As the player takes damage or makes mistakes, the bar will decrease a certain amount. If the bar is ever empty, it'll usually trigger a death or a game over, a type of fail state that will send players back to an earlier point in the game to try again. The way the life bar is presented to the player can come in many different forms. These commonly included bars, dots or icons such as the Legend of Zelda's heart system, circular gauges, numbers and percentages, and any combination of these. Some games tried adding a bit of narrative to their health bars, such as old first-person shooters like Wolfenstein 3D and Doom, which added little character portraits, in addition to a numbered percentage. Many modern first-person shooters don't use a quantifiable health system at all. Instead, these games use more of a vignetting effect, which increases in intensity as the player gets closer and closer to the breaking point. Although the problem with this kind of health system is that it leaves players rather unsure about how much punishment they can actually take. Aside from vignetting effects, some games use the character themselves to convey its status. Super Mario Bros. In particular does this. In this game, you start out as regular Mario, where you're vulnerable and any hit you take is an instant death. However, if you collect a Super Mushroom power-up, you become Super Mario, increasing your size and allowing you to take an extra hit. And in the newer games, any subsequent power-up you collect also allows you to take an extra hit, upon which it reverts you back to your previous form. Regardless of exactly how it's implemented, the general simplicity of the life bar and its variants makes it a solid tool for informing the player of their status while still allowing them to stay focused on the actual game. This information also adds an additional layer of strategy to the game, letting players make risky decisions based on their status. However, just having the life bar alone might not be enough. Additional feedback is also important. If the player is taking damage and they don't notice or understand why they're taking damage in the first place, then that can be extremely frustrating when they suddenly die without knowing what was even hitting them. The last thing a game designer wants is for their audience to feel like their failure was completely out of their control when it actually wasn't. Therefore, feedback in addition to the life bar is incredibly important. So what is this additional feedback? Well, when we sense pain, we naturally react to it. If something pokes us in the eye, we'll probably rub our eyes. If something kicks us in the shin, we'll probably grab our legs. So games need to do something of a similar nature. There needs to be some kind of tell to let players know that they've taken damage. Thankfully, games have tons of options for providing this kind of feedback. From animation to visuals to audio, even mechanics. Some of the more pronounced ways of letting players really know they've taken damage can be found in the form of stuff like controller vibrations, or perhaps having the player character either stunned or knocked back upon taking a huge hit. Some games depict their player characters as tired when they're low on health. Sometimes characters will be hunched over in their idle animations, or their voice clips will sound more exhausted as they move about. Now, there are tons of ways to approach this problem, but what's important is that it has to make an impact. The appropriate tools need to be there so the player is aware of what's going on in their immediate surroundings. If these tools are not there, then you run the risk of your players getting so frustrated that they give up on your game. And we don't want that.